Whatever you have lost in your life, just look to the great finder of lost things and know what's gone for good is not gone to God. Lost, the state of being unable to find your way. Lost, something that is taken away that can't be regained, recovered, nor replaced. Lost, something or someone that is considered to be missing, vanished, gone for good. Yes, we as people experience all sorts and all kinds of losses in our lives, some of which are trivial and insignificant, and others of which are life-altering, life-changing, and totally unforgettable. But either way, the word loss just carries a negative connotation to it. And if at all possible, we typically like to avoid losing things. If you can help it, if it's in your control, nobody wants to lose anything. It's why major retailers like Walmart invest millions upon millions of dollars to prevent shoplifting in a department they call loss prevention. So anytime things are lost, it is generally not a good thing. But the word loss seems far worse than the similar word losing, because losing is present tense and we can fix present things. Losing just sounds like you're down for now, but you're still in it. You still got a chance to come back. You still got a chance to fight back. And the word loss also seems worse than another similar word, lose. Because if someone says something like, now don't lose it, that sounds like the loss hasn't happened yet. So maybe, just maybe, if you plan, if you prepare properly, you might just have a chance to prevent the loss from occurring in the first place. But, dear brothers and sisters, this is the word loose, and it is much different than the word lose. And though they only vary by one little letter, that little extra O actually makes a big difference. So although you may see them commonly mistaken for each other, when people type in post on various social media platforms, let me assure you, they are not the same. The more you know. But the word lost just sounds so bad, doesn't it? Because it sounds so absolute, so conclusive, so final. It just sounds like it's for good. But part of the reason why the word lost sounds so bad is because it's in the past tense. Part of the reason why it sounds so bad is that it sounds real over, real done, real finished. Like the old song says, turn out the lights, the party's over. That's what it sounds like, and that's what it seems like. But in reality, we serve a God who specializes in things not being over until he says it's over. We serve a God who specializes in finding lost things. We serve a God who specializes in bringing back what we thought was gone for good. The God who reversed the loss of the cross on day one, only for the disciples to find early on day 3 that he was not gone for good, but he had risen. The God who is never at a loss for the words that reach, that rescue, that redeem, restore all so-called lost causes. The God of such an amazing kind of grace that is able to give people like me a testimony that I once was lost, but now I'm found. So just because something seems lost for good does not mean it's lost to God. Even when we lose our loved ones and they appear to be gone for good. Paul shows us in 2 Corinthians 5:8 to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So they may be gone to us, but they are not gone to God. And when we get there too, they won't be gone to us anymore either, for we will see them again. Yes, when we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. Because what seems gone for good is not gone to God. The great author J.R.R. Tolkien writes in one of his famous Lord of the Rings books, "Not all who wander are lost." Basically, just because something seems lost doesn't mean that it really is. So even if you feel lost, I mean real lost, sometimes it doesn't mean you really are. Just because it took you a little longer to find your way than others does not mean that you are lost. No, not to God. Just because you had to take the long way around, just because you may still be searching for your call, still searching for your gifting, still searching for your purpose, just because you are a late bloomer, just because you experience failure to launch, does not mean that you are lost. And just because others say that you are lost does not make you lost either. You are what God says you are. And as long as the blood is still running warm in your veins, you are never lost to Him. Just because others get there before you, just because you can't always keep up with the Joneses, just because others had it easier than you, just because you grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, just because you had to come up on the rough side of the mountain does not mean that you are lost. Just because you made some regrettable mistakes in your past, just because things went off the rail at some point in your life, just because your life took some unexpected detours does not mean that you are lost. Because in time, God so often uses those same broken roads to lead you straight to your destiny, to lead you straight to where you need to be. But the problem is, people don't like to give you time. People just tend to give up on people fast. People have a tendency to write you off fast. People will tell you to get lost with the quickness, like shape up or ship out. But what seems too far gone to us is not too far gone to God. So just tell Him, please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. What people call lost is still on God's radar. What people call lost is still on God's map. What people call lost is still within God's view, because what seems gone for good is not gone to God. To understand how God sees the word lost, you have to understand how God sees lost things. Because not all things that are lost are created equal. Not all things that are lost are the same. So God uses different techniques to find the different kinds of lost things. So to find the lost things in your life, you must first start by knowing the type based on Jesus' famous parable of lost things. Found, see what I did there? In Luke 15. So the first type of lost thing is the kind you must chase. Like the lost sheep in Luke 15:4, where Jesus says, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? So the lost sheep is probably the most common kind of lost thing, where basically something you had slips away, drifts away, goes away, and just up and disappears. So to find that kind of lost thing, you must look without. You must go out in search. You must go out and seek. You must go out and find. But because this is probably the most common kind, people often think that it's the only kind. So anytime something is lost, we tend to think that we have to go out and find it, just like the lost sheep. But that's so often why we don't end up finding what we're looking for in life, because there are indeed other types of lost things that require a different searching strategy. Like the second type of lost thing, the kind you find inside, just like the lost coin in Luke 15:8, where Jesus says, or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp and sweep the house and search carefully until she finds it? With this type of lost thing, you won't find it if you go out. You will only return empty-handed and only be wasting your time. With this kind, you must search where you already are. Basically, look within because it's already in the house. You'll find it right where you are if you're willing to look hard enough and faithfully enough. Which brings us to our last kind of lost thing, the kind that must come back to you, just like the prodigal son, famously found in Luke 15:11-32. The son who leaves his father's house prematurely, spends all of his inheritance only to return back home, leading the father to tell the other brother in Luke 15:32, but we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. With this kind of lost thing, this kind of gone thing, you don't go out and search, and you don't stay in and search either. In fact, you don't search at all. This lost thing must come back to you through much prayer, through much waiting, through much patience. But in due time, this kind of lost thing will come back to you. So don't chase it because it's coming. Don't aggressively try to go after it because it's coming. Don't come up with no crazy scheme to try and get it back, because if you wait, I say, on the Lord and be of good courage, it will come back to you, not by might nor by power, but by God's Spirit. It will come back to you. It will come back to God, because God always gets his man. God always gets his woman. Jesus says in John 18:9, those whom you have given to me, I have lost none of them, not one. He is the great finder and keeper of his sheep. He is the great finder and keeper of all of his sons and daughters. There are no lost causes, not when God is in the search. What he seeks, he finds. Even if he has to reach way out, even if he has to reach way down, what's lost to you, what's lost to me, what's lost to us is not lost to God. The blood of Jesus can chase, can lure, can reel, can pull in, can trace, can track, can locate, can find anybody, anywhere, anyhow, for it reaches to the highest mountain and it flows to the lowest valley. The blood that gives me strength from day to day will never lose its saving power, never lose its finding power, because what's gone for good is not gone to God. Thanks for watching.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube.